Geselecteerd. Schermopname. Knop. Audiogamesmap. 1 app. Audiogamesmap. Audiokey. Hellhunter Damn Soul. Liggend. Gebied voor directe aanraking.
Hellhunter. Damned Soul. Move among the options. New game. Load game. You have reached meeting point. Saving point. You saved the tree. Medical kit. Rock. Elian sits here. Even if a lot of time has passed, Alucard hasn't returned yet. It is unlikely that he will return within a few minutes, but Elian needs to find a solution as soon as possible. He can't even control the length of his nails, and his head hurts a lot. At this rate, it's a problem which comes from within. His Dhampir soul is unstable. An idea comes to him. It's been a while, but Elian could have need of that power he awakened some months ago. The power to interact with the boundary between life and death. Still, he doesn't know if it will work. Even if the soul is involved in the process, that power is used on the outside, not inside him. Elian attempts to concentrate, but it's useless. He needs some help. The only ones nearby that he knows are the witches in the capital, but they aren't actual allies. It could be risky. Perhaps the witch in that shop inside the capital is more suited for the task. To the capital. You have reached road to the capital. To the witch's lair. To the entrance. To outside the capital. To the entrance. You have reached capital. To the helper's house. 2 alleys. You have reached capital. To the witch house. You have reached capital. Witch house. Tables, amulet, seats, door. Shop's owner. Elian's headache is worsening. The witch greets Elian but asks him if everything is okay. He says that he's fine. Then he explains to her what he needs. The witch is not sure she completely understands the situation, but basically she tells him in a few words, Elian wants to do an astral experience inside his soul. That would require a control and a knowledge about the soul that not even common vampires can achieve on their own. The only way Elian could do that is with the help of a powerful totem. She clearly doesn't own such a rare artifact. For the reason she mentioned before, many vampires search for this item. Elian puts his left hand on his head. Meanwhile, he asks if she has any idea where he could find one of them. The last time the witch heard about a similar totem, she listened to a funny story. A group of vampires, powerful enough to be able to morph into mist on their own, apparently split a totem into 5 parts some time ago, and hid the parts in different points of the nation. She wonders what required such a safety measure. Probably nothing good. Elian is very tired. While she explains some other details about that story, his sight falls to her speaking lips. He can partially see her teeth and the tongue as well. He didn't remember that her lips were so thin. He starts to pant. Elian has an intuition. Perhaps the vampires she's talking about are the same he's just slain at the mansion. Maybe he could search for those places in the locations he already visited. As she mentioned, they could morph into mist. If they hid those pieces well enough, then in the worst case he will need to find a mist relic somewhere. However, at the moment, his thoughts are focused elsewhere. That throat. It looks so soft, so smooth. Has her neck always been so attractive? Elian swallows hard. He really wants to get close to her, getting even closer to her throat, and suddenly the witch instinctively takes a step backward. With her hand she covers her throat. Elian clearly is not feeling well. She's worried for him. She asks him if his state has something to do with the need to find that totem. Elian slightly recovers after seeing her reaction. He admits that she's correct, and he's in quite a hurry for the same reason. The witch quickly picks some instruments from somewhere and uses them to focus her magic power. She's trying to locate the position of those pieces. She tells Elian that the process will require much time, so he should search for them on his own. But in case of trouble, she will try her best to help him in his search. Elian doesn't know how to thank her for her help, but she tells him that it's not the time to think of that. Then he turns around towards the exit. Elian realizes that his chin is wet. It seems like a few moments ago he was drooling. With shame, he wipes his face with the sleeve of his jacket. To the alley's shop's owner. It seems that the witch already found a spot. Despite her warning, a piece of that totem has been used as a catalyst for a very powerful ritual. So powerful that the energy unleashed from the ritual is still floating all over the nation. The spot she found should be a tower. To the alleys. You have reached capital. To the witch house. Abandoned building. To the square. To the square. Abandoned. You have reached capital. Vase. Fridge. Table. Metal grate. Candles. Metal grate. Elian uses the mist relic and morphs into mist. He can pass through the grate. There's a pedestal behind it. Above the pedestal there's a weird object. It seems like the piece of a totem. Elian gets one totem piece. Candles. 2 alleys. Vase. Fridge. Vase. In a corner of the room, there's a very valuable vase. In a corner of the fridge. Even more surprising is the fact that the fridge is working. So the electric current is active. Even more table. A low table is located at the center of the room. There's some white paper on it. There's even some pens. Metal candle. 2 alleys. You have reached Capit to the witch. Abandoned to the square. To the entrance. You have reached Cap to the helpers. 2 alleys. To the road to the bystand. To the road to the capital. You have reached road to the entrance. To outside the capital. You have reached meet to the mansion. To the Chaos Tower. You have reached Chaos Tower. To the tower entrance. You have reached first tower, floor 0. To floor 1. To the outskirts. To floor 1. You have reached first tower, floor 1. Aberrant progeny. The battle begins. The battle ends.
Alien gains 130 experience points. Double tap
To floor 2. You have reached first tower to floor 3. You have reached first window. You have reached third tower, floor 7. To floor 8. You have reached third Mind Flayer. The battle begins. The enemy is getting stronger. Alien is getting slower. The enemy is getting stronger. Alien is getting slower. The enemy is getting stronger. Alien is getting slower. The battle ends.
Alien gains 140
To floor 9. You have reached third tower, floor 9. To floor 10. You have reached third tower to floor 9. Pedestal. The pedestal is now empty. To floor 9. You have reached third to floor upstairs. To floor 8. Mind Flayer. The battle begins. The enemy is getting stronger. Alien is getting slower. The enemy is getting stronger. Alien is getting slower. The battle ends.
Alien gains 140.
Head statue. Mine to floor 8. Upstairs. To floor 10. Ups to floor 8. You have reached third. Mind Flayer. The battle begins. The enemy is getting stronger. Alien is getting slower. The enemy is getting stronger. Alien is getting slower. The battle ends.
Alien gains 1.
To floor 9. To floor 7. Wall. Eyes. Wall. To floor 7. You have reached third to floor 8. To floor 3. You have reached first window. To floor 4. You have reached second to floor 5. You have reached second to floor 6. You have reached second lever to floor 5. Window. You have reached fourth tower, floor 11, to floor 12. You have reached fourth to top floor. You have reached fourth corpses. Ritual metal grate to floor metal.
Alien uses the mist relic and morphs into mist.
He can pass through the grate. There's a pedestal behind it. Above the pedestal, there's a weird object. It seems like a piece of a totem. Alien gets 1 totem piece. To floor 12. You have reached fourth to top to floor 11. You have reached fourth to floor 6. You have reached second lever to floor 5. You have reached second to floor 6 to floor 4. You have reached second to floor 3. You have reached first window to floor upstairs to floor 2. You have reached first to floor 1. You have reached first to floor 0. Aberrant progeny. The battle begins. The battle ends.
Alien gain
to floor 2, to floor 0. You have reached first to the outskirt. You have reached to the tower, to outside the tower. You have reached me saving you say to the mansion. You have reached man to the waiting room. You have reached man east exit. You have reached man's table, drawers, candles, air duct to the waiting room, air duct, candle, drawers, table to the waiting room, table, drawer, table. There's a U-shaped table at the center of drawers. There's nothing else that candles. Even here, air duct. You have reached man treasures. The room is scattered with... The room is... Demijohn. Casket. Documents. To the meeting room. Casket. Inside the casket, there's a weird piece of artifact. It must be a piece of that totem. Elian gets 1 totem piece. The casket is... to the meeting room. You have reached man to the air duct. Candles. Air to the waiting. You have reached east, south exit to the external stairs. You have reached mansion to outside the mansion. You have reached meet to the Chaos Tower, to the lake stronghold. You have reached strong breach to the stronghold. You have reached strong to the lake. Northwest, mad armor. Northwest exit, mad east exit. North exit, west exit. Outside the breach, west exit. North, east exit. Mad east, north exit. You have reached strong southwest exit, east exit, north exit, north exit. You have reached strong saving point. You say bottle, bookshelf, metals, desk, metal grate.
Elian uses the mist relic and morphs into mist.
He can pass through the grate. There's a weird object. It seems like the piece of a totem. Elian gets 1 totem piece. Narrow passage. South exit. Elian can enter inside that narrow passage on the top of that corner of the room with the help of the bat relic. Elian uses the bat relic and morphs into a bat. Then he flies inside the narrow passage. You have reached strong outside the narrow passage. East exit. Southwest chest. Southwest, southeast, southwest, southeast, south. You have reached strong south exit, west exit, east exit, northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest, metal joints, shields, metal, southwest exit. You have reached strong south exit, north, south, bolt, living armor, bolts, southeast, northeast exit, south exit, northeast exit, southeast exit, northeast exit. You have reached strong south exit, west, east exit, north, northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest, metal joints, south, southeast, northeast exit, southeast exit, northeast, northwest exit. You have reached strong west exit, southeast, headless arm, southeast exit. You have reached strong southwest, east, north, northwest, north, southeast, northeast exit. You have reached strong outside the narrow passage. East exit, southwest chest. Southeast exit. You have reached Stronghold. North exit. West, north, south, living, lever. Live, southwest, northwest, southwest exit. You have reached Stronghold. South, northeast, north, curse, crank. Northwest exit. You have reached south exit, west, east, north, northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest, metal joints, southwest. You have reached south exit, northeast, south bolt, living bolt, southeast, northeast exit, south. You have reached strong to the lake, northwest to the lake. Northwest, mad arm, east exit, northwest exit, outside, outside the breach. Elian is going to exit the stronghold through the breach. Elian exits from the narrow passage. Then, when he lands, he turns back into a Dampier. You have reached stronghold breach to the stronghold to outside the stronghold. You have reached saving point. You saved to the cave, to the lake stronghold, to the catacombs. You have reached catacomb downward. You have reached catacomb downward. You have reached catacombs 150 feet below ground. Saving point. Corpse. Wall. Goatskin. Cauldron. Upward. Down. Upward. Cauldron. How did that giant scolopendra fit inside the cauldron anyway? Actually, it's even more insane, the fact that it was still alive. Goatskin. The goatskin is empty. Wall. What it seems to be is a bunch of ingredients hung on the wall. Corpse. Saving point. Downward. Upward. You have reached catacombs. Corpse. Elian uses his power and touches the corpse. He was in search of treasure inside the coffins. When he got close to those sarcophagi, they all came out. They were countless and surrounded him. Even if he tried to run away, it was too late. They grabbed him. His limbs broke by the pressure, his neck as well. But not before his eyes were gouged out by their fingers. Coffins. Probably those were mummies inside. There's even some closed coffins, but Elian is not interested in knowing what's inside. Probably those were mummies inside. Mummy. The battle begins. The enemy is getting strong. The battle ends. Elian gained. Mummy. The battle begins. The enemy is getting The battle ends. Elian gained. Sarcophagi. Elian wants to check something. He picks up the phylactery. Just as he suspected. This is a piece of the totem he's searching for. hoping that his cut won't make it stop working, he gets one totem piece. That was the 5th piece of the totem. As Elian touches the last piece, they all react and move on their own. They join together and return to their original form. Elian attempts to channel his power inside it. The totem is glowing. Elian's power echoes inside it. After some seconds, his power is shot directly inside Elian's body. Elian faints. Once more he's surrounded by black, but this time he can feel his body and even see it. He's awake, but in another place. He can interact with it. At the moment he's just falling down without a destination. But after some time he lands on a platform which appeared suddenly. Around him a room is taking shape. After seeing the room, he has no more doubts. The totem worked. He's definitely inside his soul. This place resembles the room of a house that Elian remembers much too well. Many elements are missing, and the voids are replaced with darkness. There's a stairway which leads below. On the other side of the room there's a cracked wall. Suddenly a humanoid silhouette appears and swiftly passes through that cracked wall. It was a vampire shadow. One shadow that Elian would never let escape for anything in the world. Taking a look around, Elian notices some shadows coming from the darkness. Their shape is undefined, but what he can clearly see is a pair of great and grieving eyes. Bloody tears drip from them unceasingly. You have reached Elian's soul. Saving point. You saved the game. Darkness. Saving point. You opened the menu page. Life point. 100% life point. Experience. Elian reached level 400. Experience for the next level. Inventory. You opened the inventory page. 8. Blood vial. You opened. You're back in the map. Darkness. A part of the house is replaced with a layer of darkness. To be honest, he doesn't remember very well what was there instead of the darkness. A part of the house is replaced with a layer of darkness. Stairs. There's no time. Elian must follow that vampire. Bloody tears. Elian gains 100 experience points. Double tap. Saving point. You say darkness. Stairs. Bed. That bed. There's someone under the blankets. Elian won't dare to look at the face. That bed. There's someone under the blankets. That bed. Bloody tears.
Alien gains 100 experience points. Double tap.
Saving dark stairs, bed. Cracked wall, bloody tears.
Alien gains 1.
Saving dark stair, bed. Cracked saving point. Cracked saving.
You save cracked wall with a powerful blow. Alien breaks the wall. Quickly. Inside the hole.
Leaping swiftly through the wall, he crashed. Alien chases the shadow. It escapes through another cracked wall. Now he's inside that graveyard. Even in this place, there's a stair which leads below. From the void of this place, some shadow comes out. Great teeth are surrounded by a dense fog of darkness. Those teeth continuously gnash, filled with anger. You have reached Alien's soul. Darkness. Part of the terrain is replaced by darkness. When Alien steps on it, it suddenly turns into terrain, and immediately returns to darkness when he steps back. Grave. A grave he would never want to see again. He won't read the carvings on the tombstone. A grave he would never want to see again. Stairs. There's no time. Rabid jaws. The battle begins.
Alien gains 130 experience points. Alien increases his experience level. Alien gets Blood Vial. Double tapped. You open life point. Less than 50% life points. He's wounded. You're back in the map.
Darkness. Grave. Stairs.
Rabid jaws. The battle begins. Alien gains 100. You open life more than 75% life points. He's fine. You're back in the map. Darkness, grave, stairs, cracked wall. With a powerful blow, Elian breaks the wall. Quickly, inside the hole. Once more, Elian rams through the wall and enters inside the hall of a castle he would want to forget. Even this time, that vampire shadow goes away through the cracked wall. A stairway leads downward. Elian cannot allow that shadow to escape. You have reached Elian's soul. Darkness. The door that leads to the throne room is replaced by darkness. Not what Elian expected, but if the shadow went through that wall, there's no reason to enter. Stairs. There's no time. Elian must follow that vampire. Rabid jaws. The battle begins. Elian gains 130 experience points. Double tap. Darkness, stairs, cracked wall. With a powerful blow, Elian breaks the wall. Quickly, inside the hole. You have reached Elian's soul. Saving point. You saved the game. Darkness. A part of the house is replaced with a layer of stairs. Bloody tears. Elian gains 100 experience points. Elian gets blood vial. Saving point. You say darkness. Stairs. Bed. Stair. There's no time. Elian. Bed. That bed. Bloody tears. Elian gains 100 experience points. Elian gets Blood Vial. Double tap to saving point. You say Dark Step Bed. Cracked Bloody Tears. Elian gains 1 saving point. Use Dark Step Bed. Cracked saving point. Crack with a powerful blow. Elian breaks the wall. Quickly. Inside the hole. You have reached Elian's soul. To the previous area. Rabid Jaws. The battle begins. Elian gains 1 to the previous area. Cracked wall with a powerful blow. Elian breaks the wall. Quickly. Inside the hole. You have reached Elian's to the previous Bloody Tears. Elian gains 100 experience points. Elian gets Blood Vial. To the previous area. Darkness. The door that leads to the throne room. To the previous. Cracked wall. Rabid Jaws. The battle begins. Elian gains to the previous. Cracked wall. Stairs. Darkness. Stairs.
Quickly! At this rate, the vampire will escape. Elian feels like he's inside a loop. Darkness. Stairs. As Elian turns around, he suddenly gets attacked by the shadow from behind. He dodges the attack. Elian's sword is ready to destroy him, but Elian's enraged expression seems even more dangerous than his weapon. The battle begins. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded any. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded. Elian is poisoned. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The enemy is shielded from attacks. The enemy is not shielded anymore. The battle ends.
Elian gains 500 experience points. Double tap to continue. The last blow that Elian lands on the shadow makes him become transparent. He's about to disappear. Before that happens, the shadow pushes Elian down the stairs. He always went straight, chasing a mirage. Certain he was right. He never questioned himself. After a long tumble through the darkness, he finally stops. A new room is being shaped. He falls inside the room of a castle. This is the throne room of Dracula.
Dracula's silhouette is sat on the throne. There's also that stained glass window, but it's broken. Yes, Elian escaped from there when he lost against the Lord of Darkness. But he went through a lot and faced alone an elite alliance of vampires. This time he can win. Attached to the ceiling there are many threads. There are pieces of disassembled mannequins hung on them. They simply sway. You have reached Elian's soul. Saving point. You saved the game. Chalice. In his hand, there's a chalice with some wine inside. No, that's human blood. Throne. Elian would expect a throne made with human bones. But actually, it's more similar to a normal throne. It must be from a very ancient age. Dracula's shadow, falling apart. The battle begins. The battle ends.
Elian gains 300 experience points. Double tap.
Falling apart. The battle begins. The battle ends.
Elian gains
Broken stained glass window. In the end, Elian decides to retreat, and so he jumps out of the window. He wasted too much energy on the way to reach Dracula. But the next day, Elian returns again to face him. This time he avoided any monster and put in as little effort as possible. He clearly underestimated him. Against the Lord of Darkness, every ounce of strength is necessary. Elian enters the room, and the shadow still waits for him. The window is more damaged than the last time. Some shadows appear from the sides of the room. They have an absent gaze, and they look around with lost eyes. You have reached Elian Darkness. Chalice. Throne. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because his weapons were worn out. He should have taken them to be repaired before. But this time, he will win. You have reached Elian. Saving point. You saved Chalice. Throne. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because he drank that booze at the pub. He thought it wouldn't hurt, drinking just a glass. Against the Lord of Darkness, even the most insignificant detail can turn into failure. That explains the vision he had. But this time, he will win. You have reached Elian. Saving point. Chalice thrown. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because he ran out of blood vials much too fast. It's foolish not to save a good stock of them for the last battle. But this time, he will win. You have reached Elian. Saving point. You saved Chalice thrown. Dracula's Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because he brought his bulky bag with him. Did he really need all that equipment? After all, he just needs his blood vials and the Vampire Bane sword. But this time, he will win. You have reached Elian's soul. Saving point. You set Chalice thrown. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because he's tired. How many days have passed since the last time he had a decent sleep? He can't hope to win if he's not in good shape. But this time, he will win. You have reached Elian. Saving point. You saved Chalice thrown. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because he ate that breakfast. To be honest, he didn't feel very well. Elian will never return again to that local. But this time, he will win. You have reached Elian's soul. Saving Chalice thrown. Dracula's Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because his shoulder was sore. His movements were limited against Dracula. He should see his doctor more often. But this time he will win. You have reached Elian's saving point. Chalice thrown. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because he was in a bad mood. Lately, Elian has been obsessed with this hunt. For the sake of his psyche, he should kick back and do something else once in a while. But this time, he will win. You have reached Elian's saving chalice throne. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because he forgot his bag. Where was it anyway? Inside it, there's plenty of items which can help him against Dracula. But this time he will win. You have reached Elian's saving chalice throne. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because of his weapons. They were worn out. Wait, didn't he repair them already? Anyway, this time he will win. You have reached Elian's soul. Saving point. You saved the game. Chalice throne. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because nothing. Seems that the only things Elian never runs out of are excuses. You have reached Elian's saving point. You saved Chalice throne. Dracula's. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because nothing. Seems that the only things Elian never runs out of are excuses. You have reached Elian's saving point. Chalice throne. Saving. You saved Chalice throne. Drac falling apart. The battle begins. The battle ends. Elian gains, falling apart. The battle begins.
Elian is defeated. Seems like this is the end. Double tap to continue. You opened life point. 100% life points. He's in perfect condition. Inventory. You opened the inventory page. 6. Blood vial. A crystallization. Nothing. You opened. You're back in the map.
Broken stained glass window. You have reached Elian's soul. Darkness, chalice, throne. Dracula's shadow. Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because nothing. Seems that the only things Elian never runs out of are excuses. You have reached Elian's saving point. You saved the chalice throne. Dracula fallen apart. The battle begins. The battle ends.
Elian gains.
Fallen apart.
The battle begins.
The battle ends.
Elian gains 3.
Broken stained glass fallen apart.
The battle begins.
The battle ends.
Elian gains 3.
Door. You have reached Elian's soul. Darkness. The door that leads to the throne room, to the previous area. Bloody tears.
Elian gains 100 experience points. Elian gets blood vial. Double tap to the previous area. Cracked wall. Rabid jaws. The battle begins. Elian gains 130 experience points. Elian gets Blood Vial. Double to the previous cracked stairs. You have reached Elian's saving. You saved door. Fallen apart. The battle begins.
The battle ends.
Elian gain broken, fallen apart. The battle begins.
The battle ends.
Elian gains fallen apart. The battle begins.
The battle ends.
Elian gain Dracula's shadow. Fallen apart, fallen apart. Broken, stained You have reached Elian's darkness.
The corner behind Elian on the left is replaced by darkness. He mustn't have paid attention to what was really there. The corner behind Elian on the left. Chalice.
Throne. Dracula's shadow.
Elian draws the sword and launches at him. After a long fight, Elian is extremely tired. His opponent won't go down, no matter what. Elian faints. He lost. When he wakes up, he's inside the pub. After some time, Elian returns again inside the throne room. He knows that he lost because nothing. Seems that the only things Elian never runs out of are excuses.
You have reached Elian's saving point. You saved Chalice. Throne. Dracula fallen apart. The battle begins. Elian is defeated. Seems like this is the end. Double tap to continue. Fallen apart. The battle begins. Elian is defeated. Seems like this is the end. Double tap to continue. Broken stained glass. You have reached Elian. Darkness. Chalice. Throne. Dracula. Vitreous gaze.
Elian is getting weaker.
Elian
is
no
getting
more
weaker.
blood vials.
The battle
Seems like
ends.
this is the end. Elian gains 50. You open inventory. You opened the inventory page. 7. Blood vial. You opened them. You're back in the map. Darkness. Chalice. Throne. Dracula. Vitreous gaze. Hellion is getting weaker. Hellion is getting weaker. Hellion is getting weaker. He has no more blood vials. Hellion is defeated.
The battle
Seems like
ends.
this is the end. Hellion gains 50 experience. Darkness. Chalice. Throne. Dracula. Broken stained glass window. Vitreous gaze. Hellion is getting weaker. Vials.
The battle
Seems like
ends.
this is the end. Hellion gains darkness. Chap throne. Drac. Broken door. Broken stain. Even this time, Hellion decided to retreat, so he jumps down from the window. Tonight there was a full moon. It's a known fact that creatures of the night get strength from the moon. Actually, why fight the Lord of Darkness during the night? So the next day, Hellion returns again to face him. This time the sun shines brightly. Hellion enters inside the room, and the shadow still waits for him. The window is even more damaged than the previous time. But the rays of the sun cover a good part of the room. Hellion is pretty sure that the shadow fears the light of the sun. You have reached Hellion, Vampire Bane's sword. The legendary sword which belonged to Hellion is still there, in the place in which it fell when he lost against Dracula. But it's just a lingering memory, so he can't use it. Chalice. Throne. Dracula's fallen apart. The battle begins. Hellion is defeated. Seems like this is the end. Double tap to continue. Broken stained glass window. Once more, Hellion decides to retreat. But his arm is blocked. 1 second before he could jump out, Dracula's shadow appeared behind him and grabbed his left arm. It hurts. When did he move? Hellion didn't hear him. He draws the sword and attacks the shadow. The battle begins. The battle ends. Hellion gains 600 experience points. Double tap to continue. After one last slash, the shadow lets go of his arm. His body is disappearing. The shadow immediately slashes Hellion with his claw. He hits his torso. The blow pushes Hellion. He falls from the window. No matter how many excuses he could find, that day Hellion simply ran away from Dracula. Period. His pride never allowed him to accept the fact that he lost. The path he was following was wrong. That he failed. His pride never fell from that window. Hellion lands inside a narrow and dark corridor. The shape is curved. As he walks through it, he notices 2 doors. Suddenly he hears a familiar noise. A noise of chains. Those damned chains. Hellion knows that they belong to the anti-gnomon that he fought. But this time, Alucard won't be there to help him. The place is also terrible for a fight.
He should run away from him. From the missing parts of the ceiling, a bunch of metal scraps fall to the ground. After a while, they start floating. They are broken swords, which are broken in 3 points of the blade. Each sword moves like a unique body. You have reached Elian's soul. Saving point. You saved the game.